Okay, I'm going to show you the sight word matching activity that I did for you. In this activity, students are going to demonstrate understanding of sight words for the set 2 by matching the sight word sentences with a picture. Okay, there's activity instructions included. The first activity is to read or type each sentence into LAMP or read it aloud to show that they're building that comprehension by association. Really, this is just typing the sentence or reading the sentence on the page and moving on to the next picture. So here's an example. Could you help me? And that's it. You could talk about it. Look, the mom is helping the girl. The girl asked the mom for help, or the girl asked the teacher for help. She said, could you help me? And the teacher's helping her. I am not sure what to pick. So this guy's not sure. He has a question mark. He's not sure, but what he's going to pick. I am from Texas. So there's an arrow pointing to Texas to show that I am from Texas. Texas is where we live. We are from Texas. So you can go through each page like that. When you've gone through each one a couple times, I included a data sheet here for this activity, so you could just check off which words you've gone through. At the top, there's a spot to put a date. I only included two trials for each word because you don't need to type or read these too many times. You're going to read them and type them more in the next activities, so they'll get lots of practice. But just to be sure they're familiar with all the words before you start the next activity, going through it a couple times is probably a good idea. I would go through it in sets of 6. I've broken it down into smaller sets of 6 because I think that's about that's enough for them to sit and complete in one sitting. Okay, let's go to the second activity is up here. The flashcard activity B1 and B2 are both similar activities. They just add sort of a level of complexity to the second activity. So you're going to print out the flashcard cards that I'm going to send you. They're smaller, so they don't take up as much room. And you're going to put one sentence card and then 2 images, one that goes with the sentence and one that's a distractor on the table. You'll have the student read the sentence out loud or type the sentence into their communication device, and then have the student match the image to the sentence. You may need to model this for students a couple times to go through it before they're able to do it more independently. I would guess that they're going to need a lot of prompting initially, and that is totally fine. On the second activity, you're going to use one sentence and then increase the number of images on the table up to 6 images. For data tracking, I've included data tracking sheets for the image matching, the sentence to images. So image to text, text to image. I have 10 trials on there. So typically after a student has gotten 3 right in a row, then we can consider that they've mastered that. So they might not need to do all 10 trials, but they may need to do all 10 trials. So I would do 10 trials, and then I would move on to the next set, do 10 trials, move on to the next set. And then you can always go back to the ones that they weren't getting and redo those. If you get through the first, could, should, from, don't, brought, where, and they kind of didn't do so good here, didn't do so good here, but by these 3, 4, and 5, trial 3, 4, and 5, they're getting most of them correct. I would just move on to set 2. And then you don't need to keep going because they're going to get frustrated doing the same activity that they've already mastered. So again, if you get to 10 trials and they still haven't mastered it, I would move on to set 2 just for something new to do. But you can move on sooner if they master it sooner, if that makes sense. Okay. So that is the sight word activity. There are several, I think 5 words at the end. I'm going to go down to the bottom that don't have images with them. You can leave those out for now. You're not going to get to those yet. I will update this activity as soon as Google Images is functioning properly. I was not able to pull images off the internet for the last 2 days, and so that was the delay in getting this activity out to you. But I'm just going to go ahead and send it, and I'll update it when I can complete those last 5. Okay? If you have any questions about working on this, this is an excellent vocabulary building activity, comprehension building activity, and it should be accessible for all students. So let me know if you need some more suggestions or help with this activity.